Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. In this episode, I'll be going over some of the basics of Solidworks. I'll be using Solidworks 2019 for this demo, so variations may change between older and newer versions, but here are some of the basics of this one. So when we start up, we're obviously prompted with part assembly or drawing of what we want to do. For this tutorial, I'll probably spend most of the time just in the part file. So we're greeted with a new part. You might see that none of the axes are visible as such by default. Which may or may not be a problem. You can unhide these by selecting them and then going to the show. So I just went right click show. You can select them all at once if you want to by holding shift and then do show, and you can, well, go to turn planes on as well. So the viewer up here, so I just click the little eye icon there. So now it's showing all these things. So when it's unselected, it's showing nothing. When it's selected, it's showing all of these things as such. So if I wanted to have sketches shown, but I didn't want to have planes shown, I can just click the hide and show planes as such. Speaking of which, I think we could have actually shown. Oh no, we couldn't. Anyway, moving on from there. So from the basics, some of the basics for this. So I'm just going to start off with just a simple block basically to start off with, so I can sort of show you guys around. So I'm just going to click on the front plane here, left click, and then I can opt for a sketch, or I can do the same with a right click there and go sketch. Sometimes using right click is a bit better than left click, because left click it sometimes wants to try and change the name of whether it be a plane or whatever it is, a sketch. And now I'm just going to go up to our little sketch tools up here, and I'm just going to use this center rectangle. Obviously there's other sorts of rectangles as well. Now this is the first part too, right? So instead of using these tools up here, there is actually a quick option with Solidworks. So if I hold in the right mouse click button and I drag it, depending on which way I drag it, so if I drag it left, I pull out the line tool, so I can now draw some lines. Or if I go down, defaults to a square, or a rectangle I should say. We can go right to do a circle, and then if we go up, we can actually dimension these things. So it's like a quick sort of access tool. I haven't seen this in many other programs, so it's a really nice tool to have because it saves you from coming up to the top all the time. I'm just going to select and delete all of that. And then, unfortunately, I don't know if you can change it, but this square, for instance, is the corner square, and then I always have this rectangle up here with the center axes, like so. So I'm just going to do an extrusion. So unlike other programs, the extrusion with this, it's a bad example, but I'm just going to do a boss slash base extrude to start with. And then I'm just going to bring that up to whatever I want. So I can actually drag this as well, but obviously your dimensions over here. So I'm going to make that 50. I'm going to click OK, and then we have our square. Now what I was going to say about extrusions is, so I've just clicked on this surface here, left click, and I'm going to go another sketch again. Now see how I didn't snap to the drawing axes. So a quick tool for this one, if I press the space bar, it brings up this big cube which I can snap to different viewpoints, which is very nice to have. And then another tool too, which is more of if you're doing something that's not on these planes as such, right? So let's say if I'm doing something that's at 60 degrees, if I select that face and I press Control 8, it'll also do the same thing. So that's another handy tool to have. Now, what was I doing? Oh, another sketch. So if I do another sketch here, so unlike with some other programs, there's no one extrusion, right? So there's two types of extrusion. There's an extrusion cut and there's an extrusion boss extrude or whatever, which we just did to add material. So if we're actually wanting to remove material, I can't go and click extrude and then go, oh, I actually want that the other way. Oh, how do I remove material? It's actually not in that extrusion, it's actually in the extrude cut tool. So this is the same as the revolve as such. But yeah, so if we go extrude cut, goes down, let's go whatever, you can change from a blind hole to, you know, up to a surface or whatever. So let's go down to this surface here, so we go all the way through, and that's that. In terms of other basic tools, I think that's the most of it. So back in the so the quick access toolbar has now, since I'm not in a sketch mode as such, it now snaps to the, you know, look left, look right, and all of that. But I think that's going to be about it for this tutorial. I want to keep it nice and simple, just some of the basics. So on the traditional, you know, viewing and moving around the screen, so the scroll wheel changes your zoom essentially to the part, and if I push that scroll wheel in and drag it, that's orbit. To pan, it is control. And if I press shift and push the middle scroll wheel in, it also does this zoom too. But I mean, you can essentially do the same by scrolling in and out. But I think that's about it for this tutorial. So thanks for watching, and there should be other tutorials on Solidworks if you're new and you're trying to figure out how to do a few things. So anyway, catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.